Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to discuss here in this video in a short amount of time. But I do want to start with this because what a big win for America. Robert Kennedy being sworn in as the new HHS. This is, great news for America as a country, with Donald Trump signing an executive order to make America healthy again. Leave the politics aside. If you do not support this, you must have special interest from Big Pharma, because honestly, there's no excuse for America putting the kind of things that we do in food, like food coloring, for an example. It's made from oil byproducts. Why do we eat that and other countries do not? I know this is a topic for a whole new video, or really a whole different channel, but I just want to acknowledge that. Very grateful to see he was confirmed and sworn in today. Especially if you are someone that has kids, a family, or anyone that you really love, which I assume you do, it's a big win for them as well today. Furthermore, continuing on to change topics here, Tesla stock had a great day today. Tesla was up 5.77%, and I do think this is the start of a larger rally. And yes, Tesla was up almost 6% today in regular trading, up another 0.25%, a little bit more than that currently here in extended trading. We're seeing some pretty exciting things. Okay, take a look at the SPY, the S&P. It just broke out. Like, anytime you get a technical breakout like this, it leads to higher levels. And honestly, I don't think you really need to have too much technical know-how to see that this is a new breakout, right? This is a clear, defined breaking of a downtrend. And we've really been in this downtrend ever since January, 24th or so. It's the first peak, but it feels like you've been in this kind of sideways trading action for a while, because you really have been ever since like December 6th. The S&P really hasn't extended, that much. You've kind of been trading between like 605 and 609 or so, and well, you could soon be in a larger breakout. And the reason for this is not what a lot of you guys would expect, okay? Because a lot of people, don't understand like bad news being good news, okay? When I say bad news is actually good news, I just really mean the uncertainty is kind of going away. I talked about this in the video earlier today, and I think it's a very critical point to understand. I'm actually in the process of reading this book, The Diary of a CEO, and it shares a lot of psychological, aspects to human nature that apply to business. And one of them is that people just really don't like uncertainty, that we are exceptionally good at handling bad news. Like if your flight is delayed and the captain says it's delayed for an hour because of bad weather. You're going to take that much better than if they just say it's delayed and we don't know when we're going to be taking off. Or if you order a pizza, half hour ago, and you don't know where it's at, if people are even making it, if they're on their way, what's going on. Now, if you know it's going to take an hour and a half because you're ordering a pizza on Super Bowl, Sunday, then clearly you're going to take that a little bit better, right? And these are just a couple of examples of how humans do not like uncertainty. There's actually an aspect in our psychology that just really cannot process uncertainty. It gives us a lot of anxiety. And you can see that as probably the most human aspect of markets. Markets are like very much not human, right? That you can't feel, you can't touch them. They're stock market in the cloud, right? But that is one very human kind of aspect of markets, is markets hate uncertainty because humans hate uncertainty. And even though we got what some people would say is bad news today, towards the end of the trading day, I would categorize it as bullish because it removes some of the uncertainty. And there was really a lot of headlines that came out. One of the more scary ones, if you will, was BRICS nations could see 100% tariff at least. That's obviously one of the more scary headlines, but there's not too many important BRICS nations, and odds are they back down once you start talking about 100% tariff. So that was a little bit of a scary headline, but we were really waiting today for these retaliatory tariffs. And we did get news today that the Trump tariffs will have a delay and they may start April 1st. Now, here's the deal. We don't exactly know what the tariffs are overall going to look like. Like, we don't have specific details, kind of a rough draft or rough outline, but that is enough to kind of tell us, hey, this is at risk, that's safe. Okay, we can kind of breathe now and say, maybe it's not as bad as we thought it could have been. Trump was also talking about denuclearization, which obviously, is a positive for markets. Markets don't take like nukes as serious, but that is ultimately the worst case scenario for markets. So a denuclearization strategy between major global powers, that's going to be bullish in some capacity or another. And there was a lot of talk about that. There was also talks about the US, China, and Russia cutting potentially their military budgets in half, which did cause RTX, a military contractor for weapons, to sell off today, at least a little bit on that news. But obviously, the world getting along is positive for markets, and markets generally like to hear that. There was also a lot of news today about potentially ending the war in Ukraine, that Ukraine, Russia, and the United States are now going to have a meeting next week in Munich. Okay, this is Germany, I believe. I'm not too familiar with my geography of the European continent, but I believe that's in Germany. Regardless, that's positive. Ending the war in Ukraine, as Trump would put it, getting those rare earth metals, that's just another added positive. Trump did also say that he will be looking at the IRS like everything else today. Apparently, the Doge team arrived at the IRS today to look at their books and hopefully, make some changes. And Trump reiterated that Doge is doing a great job. He says that he believes Putin actually wants peace and wants to end the conflict in Ukraine. Trump also said that Taiwan took our chip business away and we want that business back. So that was kind of one of those weird headlines. Not exactly sure, what could come out of that. For all you TikTokers, the TikTok deadline could be extended. It might take some time to get that deal worked through. Trump also says that this retaliatory tariff will be over and above steel tariffs, also cars and pharmaceuticals. And here were the key takeaways from Trump's press conference today. He will be looking at the IRS, the Doge team. Car tariffs are coming soon. Would love to have Russia back in the G7. Elon Musk's Doge is doing a great job. Deadline to ban TikTok could be extended. Taiwan took our chip business. We want it back. Not concerned about countries shifting business to China. Wants talks on military spending cuts with Russia and China. No need for producing or stockpiling new nuclear weapons. And BRICS nations playing with the dollar could face 100% tariff. So for this highly anticipated retaliatory tariff announcement, it was not nearly as bad as what a lot of people were fearing. And even for the aspects of this that were not exactly positive, like auto tariffs, additional steel tariffs, right? BRICS nations getting tariffed. It just creates a lot more certainty. And it really feels like at this point, tariffs are a lot more talk than they are actual reality. Now, of course, that will end at some point, and I'm sure markets will have a freak out moment someday. But as for right now, it's just not a big concern from investors. And we can see this with the technical breakout today and the risk on price action we had in broader markets. Markets did pretty well today. Tesla did very well, up over 6%, including the move in after hours, and a lot of other areas also did well. Now, if we are starting a new breakout in markets, which it looks like we are, you can never be too certain, but when you get a clean break like this, it usually leads to higher levels. Okay, last time this happened was January 16th, January 17th, you broke above this downtrending trend line. You actually gapped up 1% after the inauguration. The next day you were up 1%, day later up a half 1%, and then up another half of 1%. And then you peaked out the first time. You've been kind of finding resistance at this downward trend line, for almost a month now. We have a clear break of this today, and you closed at the high of the day. I mean, that's a pretty strong signal in and of itself. Now, as I've also shared with you guys recently here on the channel, Tesla specifically has had a lot of good news recently. Like, there has not been a shortage of good news for Tesla. And Wall Street has really just been overlooking that. They've been saying, yep, I don't care. There's drama going on, Elon, Doge, and all these other rumors taking place at Tesla. And it does feel like a lot of, especially retail investors, kind of lost sight of what Tesla is actually doing. And we've seen hedge funds and institutions during this sell-off, one, be adding a lot of option exposure to the upside, but we've also seen the short interest quietly getting obliterated. Okay, you have fallen about 30 million shares or so, 20 some million shares that have been sold, that have been covered, that were previously sold short over the last 6 weeks. So basically, from the all-time high of Tesla, $488 per share, literally like every day, if not every week, you've had millions of shares be covered by hedge funds and institutions. Normally, when a stock falls that hedge funds really don't like, that they're bearish on, they just add to those positions. Normally, they don't cover on short positions. What's most fascinating about right now, though, is Tesla has the smallest short position on it in its history. You have never seen Tesla with only 2% short interest, technically 2.13% short interest of free float. That has never happened before. That is an all-time low. And that is about as good of a sign as any other that Tesla stock's probably going to do okay here soon. That hedge funds and institutions, they don't want to be short in Tesla. Like, why would you not want to be short in Tesla? Obviously, Robotaxi, new Model Y, Optimus, production later this year. So many different things. I mean, we talk about these things each and every single day. Mix that with uncertainty alleviating from some of the tariff situation, at least for now. Tesla stock had fallen 30%. Add that to it. And, the S&P now in a technical breakout. And I do think the situation is looking quite good for Tesla. Now, we do have some data coming tomorrow morning. We have retail sales month over month. You're expecting a negative number, negative 0.1%. Now, if this comes in at negative 0.1%, that's going to be great news, likely fuel a larger rally for Tesla and our broader markets, because we just got PPI that came out today. That feeds into PCE, and it looks like we're going to make progress on bringing down PCE. Despite the hotter than expected CPI report, Jerome Powell and other Fed officials kind of brushed it off. They said, don't be worried about that. Essentially, obviously paraphrasing here, they said they care about the PCE, not the CPI. So the PPI report today really confirms that we're making additional progress on PCE. Now, if retail sales come in on the light side like we're expecting, that's going to give the Fed more of really an excuse to cut rates. We will also get export prices month over month, import prices month over month, industrial production, manufacturing production, and business inventories that come out tomorrow. None of this data individually is too important, but it does and will give us a new GDP update for Q1. You can see the next GDP Now update is Friday, February 14th. We're currently at 2.9%. If those numbers come in bad tomorrow, then that estimate could fall. And GDP falling obviously puts some pressure on the Fed, or additional pressure on the Fed to potentially cut rates. So retail sales tomorrow is going to be very, very important. But honestly, I don't know what there's not to like about the setup that we have here. The setup to me looks pretty damn good. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, And let me know where you think Tesla stock is going next. And I talked about this in the last video, so I don't want to hammer on it too much, but you really need to get above 362, and that should turn into a new support level, right? If you get above 362, that could lead to a run to the 20-day moving average at 387, okay? 402 is where your 50-day moving average is. I would really like to see the stock get above that and close above there. It's not going to happen in one day. It's going to take some time. That would be a rally from here of about 13%. I mean, it's possible that could happen tomorrow, but that would be one hell of a crazy day. So I imagine it would take, 2-3 days probably to get above that level. And when we do is when you're going to break above this trend line, this downtrending trend line for Tesla. And well, Tesla tends to very much trade off the technicals. So we break above that trend line, you break above your moving averages, and this stock could be heading to new all-time highs by spring. By March, April, May, this could be a $500+ stock. And, I think, again, a lot of people got lost in the sauce, carried away with all of the rumors and just fake headlines, really, in the past couple of weeks. And I think Wall Street's starting to say, oh, wait, maybe the situation's pretty good for Tesla here. And I think we'll continue to have that realization over the next couple of months, heading into the launch of the Robotaxi network. So that's going to do it for this video. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.